Hello, this is Anders, and in this video, we're going to talk specifically about putting your drop money into the Florida retirement system after you leave. Okay, so one of the biggest questions that we're hearing lately is, well, I'm probably just going to leave my money with the FRS. I'm happy at the 4% that I'm making. I'm just going to leave it where it is and make it simple. Well, first off, you can't do that. you can put your money into the FRS Investment Plan with Ernst Young, but you can't leave it in your 4% fixed account. Now, some of you know that, some of you don't. So that's the first myth I kind of want to debunk and just say, can't leave it in the 4%. Not only can you not leave it there, most of you know that you have 60 days after your retirement date to roll over your drop money. So if you exit drop, let's say June 30th, you have 60 days from that date to roll over the money. Well, some people will leave their money in for 55 days thinking, oh, well, I'm getting 4%, so let me just leave it in there. You're not. Your 4% ends the day that you separate, okay? So that's already calculated in. There's no gaming the system. I know a lot of people are trying to do it. But let's say that you know that, but you're just thinking, okay, well, maybe I'll just put my money in the Florida Retirement System Investment Plan. What are the pros and cons of that? And that's what we're going to get into in this video. Okay, so let's start with the pros of the FRS Investment Plan. The number one benefit of rolling your money to the FRS Investment Plan is it's employer approved. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's a 401A that's approved by your employer. So a lot of you have a 457 or deferred comp, or if you work for a school board or a college, you might have a 403B, otherwise known as a TSA. Those are all approved plans, and this is another approved plan by your employer. So if you're under, and the real benefit here is if you are under the age of 59 and a half. So if you're retiring at, say, 55, 56, and you want to be able to get access to your money without a tax penalty, these employer plans are the way to go for any money that you plan on taking out, because there's a rule that and we're talking about standard risk here, if you're standard risk, if you separate service in the year that you turn 55, you can take money out of an employer account without a tax penalty. You cannot take money out of an IRA until you're 59 and a half. And this is for anybody. So IRAs are great because you can use any type of investment, but you need to be 59 and a half, okay? So if you're over 59 and a half, then the FRS, the benefit of it being an employer account, doesn't really help you. But if you're under 59 and a half, you could use this or a 403B or a 457 and still have access to your money. Now, if you're special risk, then you have access to your 457 whenever you separate from service. So even if you retire at 45, which some firefighters, police officers do, you could get access to that money. So my recommendation is if you're retiring under the age of 59 and a half, let us know. I mean, if it makes sense to use the FRS or an employer account, we'll let you know. But there might be some other strategies there too. So the number one pro is if you are under the age of 59 and a half when you retire, there might be some benefits of using an employer account. The number two benefit of the FRS investment plan is if you are specifically looking for low cost target date funds that are simple to set up. So that's what a majority of the investments inside of the FRS are target date funds. And actually the simple form that you fill out will default you to a target date fund. Now you might say, well, what is a target date fund, Don? Well, good question. It's a target date fund is an algorithm based mutual fund. And what it does is it starts you with stocks and then gradually puts you more and more into bonds. So let's say right now, I pulled this up, the 2025 target date fund was right about 58% stocks and the rest are in bonds. And then what it'll do is for the next 5 years, and in 5 or 6 years, it'll average out to about 50-50 stocks and bonds, and then it stays 50-50 stocks and bonds. I really like target date funds for people who are a lot younger, who aren't going to look at their investments and they're literally just going to put it away and never think about it again, because it'll take you, when you're younger, you should be more in equities. And as you get older and closer to retirement, you should be more in bonds. But for those of you who are either retired or within 5 years of retirement, which if you're rolling over drop, you're retiring, you have to be careful because it's just an algorithm. The algorithm dictates exactly how much stocks and bonds, what's going to happen, how they're going to sell stocks and buy bonds. And the problem there is there's a time that you should buy stocks and there's a time that you should buy bonds. So perfect example is in 2022, interest rates went up, bonds were going down. But because people had target date algorithms, not just FRS, any target date, they were selling stocks and they were buying bonds, and they were buying bonds when everyone knew that interest rates were going to go up and the bonds would fall, but the algorithm dictated it. So, and conversely, right, if stocks are really high and bonds are good now, you're not selling the bonds to buy, you're not selling the stocks to buy bonds in a timely manner. You will with the algorithm, but not maybe when you really want to do it or the amount you really want to do it. That being said, target dates are fine. If that's the way you want to go, the FRS does have low cost target date funds, but not the lowest cost. So you can go out and find lower cost target date funds. Yes, you are paying fees. They're called expense ratios inside of the FRS. Some people think, well, the FRS doesn't charge me anything. Yes, they do. The 2025 target date fund is about 0.22%, I think, right now. That can change, but as I record this, is 0.22% is what they're charging you for that. There are cheaper funds out there. And then in addition to that, we researched the returns. So we looked at the 1 year, the 5 year, and the 10-year returns of the FRS 2025 target date. And the reason I'm kind of picking on that fund specifically is a lot of you, if you're retiring now in 2024, 2025, maybe 2026, that's probably the fund you're going to pick because that's your target retirement date. And when we looked at it, it underperformed the benchmark, which is basically, what there's a benchmark called the S&P 2025 target date index, underperformed that in all 5 of those. And then also we pulled up a few other funds and it underperformed all of those as well. So my point is, if you're looking for a target date, number one, I would maybe think about that. But number two, if that's really what you want, there might be some better options out there if you're going to go do your research. Okay. But if you want a target date, you want it cheap and you want it where it's easily set up with an easy form, FRS might be the way to go. The other reason you might want to use the Florida retirement system is if you want to do it yourself. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, then the FRS has what's called a self-directed brokerage account inside of it with a company called Alight that you can switch to and manage. So especially if you're under 59 and a half and you want to do it yourself and you want to manage it, the Alight platform is a great way to go. That being said, if you're over 59 and a half, you may just want to consider doing an IRA with your typical brokerage, self-directed brokerage, because then that way you don't have to worry about all the employer steps and everything else. But that is an option. If you're a true do-it-yourselfer, you want to trade your own stocks and bonds and investments and do everything yourself, you can use the FRS, go with the Alight strategy, and then you can manage everything on your own. Okay, so those are the pros of using the FRS. Number one, if you want to, the FRS investment plan for your drop. Number one, if you want to if you're under 59 and a half and you want access to whatever portion of money. Number two, if you're looking for a low cost target date fund, or number three, if you are a DIYer. Now, what are the cons of rolling your money to the FRS investment plan? Let's get into that now. The first con of rolling your money to the FRS investment plan, and this is for a lot of people because, a lot of state employees, especially, people who've worked the same place for 30, 35, 40 years, want lower risk investments. And if that's the case and you're looking for a fixed investment, the FRS does have what's called a stable value fund. But they're stable, which is safe, very low risk, but their stable value fund has underperformed, even the basic money markets that are out there. So over the last year, the stable value fund has been just over 2.58% as I record this. And there's other money markets and very low risk fixed accounts, or even guaranteed fixed accounts, where the return's closer to 5 or 5.25%. So if you're looking for a fixed account, and some of you even have 403Bs or 457s that have low risk investments, but will pay you a higher interest rate. So that's something that you definitely want to shop, because 2.58 as I record this is not even keeping up with inflation. The number two thing that you want to look at, or maybe look into, is if you're looking for an extra guaranteed income stream. Now, a few people have, talked to me and said, hey, well, the FRS has this guaranteed income annuity that can pay out. And some people like annuities, some people don't. I'm indifferent. I think for some people, they're really good. Some people, not so much. But if you're looking for a guaranteed income stream, there's not many other options that are better than a guaranteed income annuity. Now, there's different types of annuities, and I've done a whole video about them. I'm going to link it up here that I recommend, and I'll also do it in the show note if you don't want to click off now. I recommend going and watching it if you're thinking about purchasing an annuity for income, okay? So, but let's say that you are thinking about going with a guaranteed income annuity because you really need an extra income stream and you're worried about outliving it. Well, a guaranteed income annuity will provide that. But the key is making sure that you're going with the company that is paying you the most. Now, the FRS has a deal with a company called MetLife. They're a good company, but it's one company. So the issue is they can't really go out and shop other options. That's their option that they can give to you. From my experience recently, the MetLife account just has not been as competitive as other options that are out there. So if you're thinking about a guaranteed income annuity, remember, you're locking this in for the rest of your life if you do this, depending on the option you go with. But for most of you, if you're doing this, you're locking this in, and this is a lifetime decision. So going with the company that will pay you the most is the most important thing. That's why it's important to meet with somebody who, and maybe get a second opinion, who is an independent advisor that can take a look and say, okay, well, here is what an annuity would pay out. Here are the 5 best options. Where does that compare to MetLife, right? Don't just go with the one that's, a company has to sell you. And this is not just FRS. There's a lot of other companies that people are representatives for an insurance company, and they're just trying to sell you that annuity. You have to get other opinions if you're going to go with something that's that long-term of a decision, okay? The other downfall of the MetLife annuity that I see is you annuitize. So what that means is you actually lose access to your money if you annuitize. Now, there's different benefits. You can go period certain and things like that to make sure that beneficiaries get paid. But in my opinion, it's much better to go with an annuity with an income rider, because you keep access to your money. If you change your mind down the road, you can take your money out. If you pass away, your beneficiaries will get whatever is left in the account, but you'll still get a guaranteed income stream. So there's other options available. So just make sure you're getting second, even third opinions before you're committing, and you're basically turning over your drop money that you've worked 30, 35, 40 years for to a company that's going to give you a stream and then gets to keep if something happens to you or you and your spouse. So just something to think about there. The third reason you might want to consider the FRS is if you want different types of investments. So the FRS, they do have different types of investments. They have different mutual funds, but the majority of their funds are retirement date funds. So if you're looking for more actively managed funds, if you're looking for more strategically managed funds, if you're looking for just fixed accounts like we talked about before, going with an IRA, you don't have to just go with what the FRS options are and what the Ernst Young options are, right? So you can go and you can pick other options. So with IRAs, as long as you're over 59 and a half, there's no 10% tax penalty to take money out. And then you can go with that. You can do an IRA that's in a money market that is fixed and liquid and earning a higher percentage. You can do an IRA that's in a mutual fund, maybe even a target date fund, like we discussed in the pros, but maybe something that has lower fees or higher returns. You can do a strategically managed fund, bond funds, whatever it might be, even individual stocks and bonds. If you're over 59 and a half, my recommendation is maybe sit down and look at what other investment options are out there in IRAs, or sit down with an advisor and look at that as well. And that kind of leads me into my final point of why you might want to think twice before putting your money in the FRS investment plan with Ernst Young. It's because the advisors, the advice that you get, while they're unbiased and they're fiduciaries, they are captive to Ernst Young. So yes, they're giving you unbiased advice of which investment to choose, or whether or not you should choose the annuity or whatever else it might be, but they work for Ernst Young. So they're going to give you advice on what they have available. So the best example I can give is, it's kind of like if you went to a clothing store, like say Dillard's, right? They're gonna say, oh, well, I really like this fit on you. I think this fit looks really good. And they might not be biased on it, might not be making commission. Actually, I don't know if they make commission, but let's say that they're not. But they're saying this is what you should have. But that's just what they have to offer in that store, right? They can't go out and tell you what Sears has or whatever, you know. They have to tell you what is there. That's similar to Ernst Young and any captive advisor, right? Anyone who works for any financial advisor, even if they're a fiduciary, if they work for a company and they can only offer you those companies' products, there's still going to be, I don't want to say a bias, but there's still going to be limited options that they can give you advice on. You know, and it's not saying anything wrong, because, you know, they're fiduciaries, they do a good job, but they do a good job with the tools that they have. So if you're looking for a truly customizable plan, if you're looking for truly the best options that are out there, my recommendation is to go sit down with an independent advisor that can work in a fiduciary capacity. Now, there's a lot of them out there. You can go find them. That's how I am set up and my advisors are set up. So if you want to meet with somebody on my team, we can, you know, we're independent advisors, meaning we don't work for any one company. We work for our clients, and we also can work in a fiduciary capacity. But I think you owe it to yourself to go out and get unbiased advice, not just on what a company has to offer, but on what any company has to offer, right? So just something to think about. If you need help, if you do want to meet with somebody from our team, go ahead and click the link below, or just do research online, right? You know, go out and find somebody, find someone that you trust. If you don't think it's a good fit with us, that's fine. Make sure you do your research. And for some of you, the best thing to go with is the FRS Investment Plan with Ernst Young. But for other people, there might be some better options out there. Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you soon. Oh, make sure you subscribe. And also the videos I talked about, we're going to link it down in the description below. Have a good day. Talk to you soon.